webinar. Okay, Mr. Majithia is trying to connect in. We are an organization called as Women in Aviation International India Chapter. It's a non-profit organization. We are a part of the global group, which are about 14,000 women across the globe. The sole purpose of this organization is to promote more and more girls in aviation, not restricted to just being a pilot or a cabin crew, but to expose them to the various other verticals that are also available. We are about a 4.5, 5-year-old organization in India, and we've been getting industry support, especially from corporates like Lockheed Martin and from Airports Authority of India. And with them, we have been celebrating Girls in Aviation Day across India for the last few years. What we do at these airports is we call young girls, we invite them to have a look at the airport, see how it works. We expose them to the various verticals that are there, encourage them. In the last couple of events, we've also tried to include somebody from their family also, so that once these girls go back. Yes, Mr. Majithia, we can see you. Welcome back, sir.
Say hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Madam.
Yes, good to see you back, sir. And I hope the internet connection now stays stable. I was just letting the audience know what Women in Aviation is. We've been celebrating Girls in Aviation Day for the last 4 years now, where we call young, impressionable girls to the airport, talk to them, show them the various opportunities around, and hope that they go back and choose aviation as a viable career. This organization was started by Mrs. Radha Bhatia, who is here with us today. And she is the president for Women in Aviation India chapter and also the chairperson for the Bird Group. And it is her vision and her guidance that has led the group to come this far. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Nupur. Good evening, everybody. Namaskar, Mr. Majithia, and thanks, Rupin, for organizing this event. What a pleasure it is to welcome Mr. Majithia, who was one of the veteran Indian Air Force pilots who served also the World War II. He fought during the Burma War. I mean, these are histories which I think many of the children would not know, because our education curriculum is such that we go back to the British history, to the Mughal history, but we don't know our own country's history. He flew the legendary Hawker Hurricane aircraft. My God, I think probably very few people know about this aircraft. Faith, courage, and adventure is personified with Mr. Dalip Singh Majithia. Sir, it's again a pleasure, because you being a veteran are one person who served the British India and the independent India. What a great history. We are so proud of you, and we are lucky to have you here today. We would definitely like to hear your experiences and your message to the younger generation. With this, I hand over the mic to Rupan to say a few words about and welcome Mr. Majithia.
Thank you, Radhaji. Good evening, audience. Today we have with us someone who's an avid golfer. He hit a hole-in-one just last year. An aviator, a fighter pilot, and India's oldest fighter pilot. His first training flight was as a 20-year-old. And during the Second World War, he fought on the Burma front flying a Hawker Hurricane aircraft. Later, he married a stunning Australian beauty and left Indian Air Force to manage his substantial land holdings and family business. But once an aviator, always an aviator. In 1949, he purchased 2 Beechcrafts and made history with first landing ever in Kathmandu Valley. I would like to welcome Sardar Dalip Singh Majithia.
Sir, would you like to say a few words to the audience?
I think the connection.
Yeah, I think it's the connection. He's logged off, I think.
I think these days Wi-Fi is giving a lot of problems.
Yes, everywhere. I think that's a universal problem. We'll just wait for a couple of seconds for him to come back live.
But in the meantime, let me tell you a little more about the Indian women in aviation.
Sure, ma'am.
There was this another stalwart, the first Indian lady to get the license was Mrs. Kamla Thakral. Have you all heard about it? Born in Lahore, she took her first pilot license in when she was 21 years old. Has he joined?
He's just joining.
So the story of women begins there, but unfortunately, it has not picked up so well. Now it is time for women to just stand up. You know, we come from a land of 9 goddesses, most powerful. So young girls, my recommendation to you is never shy, come up with your dreams and you will succeed. You must have heard about the new film which is being released. We just saw the trailer. And this was Mrs. Gunjan Saxena, the first Air Force pilot who landed in Kargil with her helicopter. Isn't that credible? And now there is a movie on her, like the old movie Neerja, which was an air hostess who tried to save all lives, but unfortunately could not save her own. This is sacrifice. That way, there are a lot of stories. Everybody would have heard the name of Kalpana Chawla, Indian astronaut who went to the US and was joint NASA program and had gone to NASA for a couple of times. But in the last ship, unfortunately, she did not survive. We have another lady from India. You will be surprised to know that India has the maximum pilots in private sector, in Air India, the ratio is 13%, whereas the global ratio is just 5 to 6%. Isn't it credible for the Indian women?
Absolutely.
So I'm proud to also say that probably Gunjan Saxena would be hearing us also. She was not sure, so she is going to be one of the next panelists to encourage you young girls. We normally used to go personally to various stations to inspire the girls to join careers, aviation. You know, women are multitasked. They take care of the family, they take care of the house, they take care of the profession. Now, this is an art which only the women can do. And I'm sure if you are planning to take up a career, you should not think that you have to give one against the other. No, you can take all careers and your professions and your responsibilities. If
I
they
think Ma'am Gunjan has logged in. I did see her name. She is listening to us right now.
I can listen.
Thank you, Gunjan, for joining in. I'm sorry I couldn't take your call because I was just going live at that
No,
time.
that's fine. That's fine.
Gunjan, would you like to say a few words till the time Mr. Majithia joins in?
I think first I would like to say, ma'am, a very good evening to you. And it's my absolute honor to be here with you all on this panel. And I was just listening to the stories that you were telling. And I think some of them even I did not know. And it's so nice to listen to them. I really wish more, not only women, but everybody gets to hear these stories. And as you mentioned, the women in aviation in our country go back a long, long way. Just that, as you said, it really hasn't picked up very well. But I'm sure we are on the right track, and we will get there very soon. So I think, and your organization is doing exactly that for more and more women to get to know about the profession of aviation and the job opportunities that it offers to us. And I think it is a lifetime opportunity for me to be here on this panel today when we have Skolina Majithia also here. She's a legend, and it's just such an honor to be here on this webinar along with him. And thank you so much is all I can say.
Well, actually, he was logged in much earlier, about 10 minutes earlier. But
Yes,
then
he
the
has
Wi-Fi-
come back. He has come back. I think he's keeping his camera off, maybe because of the connection right now. Yeah, he's there. I'm sure he's listening to us right now. Yeah.
So
Gunjan,
can you,
thank you so much, and we are looking forward for your movie as well.
Thank you so much.
It is, I think, 12th of
Yes.
August.
Day after tomorrow. Yes.
Day
That is
after
the-
tomorrow.
Yes.
So you must be really excited.
Yes,
Right now.
very much. Really looking forward to how people respond to it and how it does. I mean, it's a wonderful journey.
Thank you, Mr. Majithia. We can see your name. I hope you can hear us clearly right now because the audience is waiting to hear from you, sir. Can you hear us, sir?
हाँ जी,
Yes, I hear you.
आपकी आवाज आ रही है मैम.
आपकी
जी,
आवाज
आवाज आ
थोड़ी
रही है।
हमारी तरफ आपकी आवाज नहीं आ पा रही है क्लियरली.
I think he's little confused. Um, he's little confused. I have him online with me and they tried to connect. And I think in between he got us also, he could hear us. Let me just try again with him.
Okay.
अभी वीडियो हाँ जी किया था. अब आया मैम?
आपकी आवाज आ रही है. वीडियो नहीं आया है आपका, आपकी आवाज आ पा रही है हमारे साथ.
We just continue with the sound then.
Yeah, we can continue with the sound then.
ठीक है.
Uncle, can you hear me?
Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hanji. So I'll start with the questions. We have few questions for you and we'd be very happy if you could give us a response.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So our first question would be that what inspired you to join Air Force as a pilot in 1940?
You see, I was finished BA and I was now waiting to go to Cambridge. I got admission in Cambridge. But the war broke out and we stayed back and I was about to ask about John Air Force because we had an aircraft already with us at the time, Percival gun, by which my uncle used to fly, so did somebody there. And he joined the Air Force, so I also in Habania in Iraq, trained by Royal Air Force. So I thought also to join the Air Force. I was selected in Mala, and then we started training in Lahore. And later on, we shifted from Lahore to Mala, getting our wings and everything like that. We went to Coastal Command, flying on anti-submarine patrols and all. Can you hear me actually now?
Yes, we can hear you.
And after that we had old aircraft. I actually fly property and audits and everything. And then on top, Atlantas, which are taken over by Indian Air Force. They converted into a cutter at the back and put bombs in the surface here. And we used to fly that because this aircraft used to fly from to Africa and to India long time ago. And 4-engine aircraft. So we first we trained as fighter pilots, then we trained on the heavy ones here like that. You know? But we carried on until this job was taken over by the by BOSC, by Royal Air Force, and we went and formed Hurricane Squadron in the Northwest Frontier, where we formed number 6 Squadron, and we started operating all over the place, and eventually went to Burma. And after Burma, I went back to Northwest Frontier. I had various other jobs, which I can to tell you of the details, but if you can hear me well, then I could tell you that.
And we can see you also now.
Oh.
We can see you also. So that was lovely. And how was your experience serving under the British government then?
But British government activities had nothing to do with particularly with Royal Air Force. Or main thing we wrote about training, our instructors, we came from the Royal Air Force. We were about but we wanted good aircraft to fly. And we Hurricanes, and then eventually we carried on what we got.
Okay, that's
Burma Coast Command and other places like that. And then when I got to, afterward I got to Australia, then all my squadron was number squadron went to Japan occupation force. And I stayed there for as long as required.
That's lovely. And what inspired you later to start the Majithia airline? You had bought 2 Beechcrafts and you started a little airline at that time?
After I left the Air Force, they came back when I left the Air Force. The war had and Americans were selling all their old aircraft. They bought 2 L5s, which they were operating in the covered areas. So I started doing that. I had the pilot's license already before. So I had no problem to get this thing ready, and I used to fly to Calcutta and all the places like that with those 2 aircraft, you know, sometimes this one, from the other. Later on, changed over to the Beechcraft, Beech After Beech Bonanza, I landed in Kathmandu that time with that aircraft. And then eventually I had a Twin Beech, the 18S, triple engine aircraft, which is very large, solid aircraft, but bigger. And after a while, then you get on, and we had a family, and so we decided to separate this thing. And that time I left the flying, because you can't keep on flying like that unless you go to some company to back you up or something like that.
That's lovely. And when you started your career in the 1940s, were there any women pilots that you knew of? Were there any women flying then?
I started my career immediately after our government college in Lahore. I did my BA, and after that, I was, as I said before, I got permission to admission in Cambridge, but the war broke out, so I went to the airport.
Now, So now there are many women pilots we have in India and globally. What is your opinion on women pilots? What do you have?
I'm very excited. I think it's very good, very excellent idea. I've seen, we are locked in here for the last 6 months, and I spend my time mostly looking at these on the TV about these girls flying, and especially about these freighter pilots. I remember a German couple, 2 girls, they did a huge aircraft, and the way they sit and fly there is amazing. They're so casual about the whole thing, and they keep up flying. I've seen them fly from Bombay to Hong Kong and things like that. And it's very amusing. I spend a lot of time looking at all these things. And a lot of girls in Europe, especially now, flying as commercial pilots and also for individual company pilots. Beautiful.
That's
So our girls in India, especially the Air Force, they're doing so well.
yes, that's right.
And I hope they'll continue when they get better aircraft and carry on like that.
So any memory that you would like to share with us of midnight of 15th August 1947? Do you remember where you were on that fateful day?
In 47, I'll be back in Simla. In 47, when this, we had the independence speech of Prime Minister Nehru, and I heard that very well, and we thought big change which did come, but he is pros and cons of everything is there. But we are so glad that we are independent, and we look forward to independence of August every year.
Oh, that's what an amazing memory. So if you could fly today, aircraft.
And I also.
I'm sorry.
Because of the aircraft, so I'm not going after anywhere else. Also look at a degree college in Kushinagar, and I spent a lot of time there and very cool we had sugar factory and other businesses. As far as flying is concerned, I started in Gorakhpur with the L5s, then I went to the Bonanza, then I went to Twin Beach, and it's the same. The airfield, which is there, is made in our farm. They took over our 700 acres of land, and the present Air Force Station is there.
Okay. And that's right. So if you could fly an aircraft now, which aircraft would you like to fly? If you had a choice to fly an aircraft today, which aircraft would you like to fly?
Well, let's see the options that we know about it, because after all, when you are certain age and everything happens, you're not allowed to take get flying lessons.
And that's
But I love the learn
yeah, okay. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So do you recall any challenge that you faced during a flight of yours while you were flying? Any particular incidents that comes to mind?
Variations take place, during the time. Like, I particularly when I left the airport, went to every March, we used about 15 to the parts. And I and Dr. and my sister stayed there. We daily, I remember that time, and was released for the trip. And after we finished the trip there and back, and I see the carriage and I was wrong. I thought the birds had dropped thermal. So I said, no, I felt that wrong, undercarriage. So I flew on to Lucknow and I told them that I'll fly very low in front and tell me it's okay. So they took left wing coming down. So that's the problem. Okay, so we tried took it up to 700 feet and make my child and my sister-in-law to the back. And I threw the aircraft around a bit. And when she came down again, I told them, I said, let me know what my undercarriage position is. And they said, your undercarriage is down, but your nose wheel is dangling. I said, not a problem now, man. So I asked him to send on the Paka ship, and I landed on the strip there, and it was okay when we went up, down, and then I got my and the journey of the baby. All the aid had come with this with the tender and everything. So I got off it, broken, and I was with the big maintenance airport in Kanpur. Rajinder Singh, my was Master Singh. I knew him when he was a Hawaii spy ages ago. And I told him what was happening. And he said, don't worry, leave everything to me. And so I left the aircraft there when Rajinder Singh took the to
I think he's got disconnected, Rupan.
Hanji, I think so too. The connection is not very clear.
Yeah. Nonetheless, we have another aviator with us here, Gunjan. I think in the meanwhile, if Mr. Majithia can log in, we'll continue the talk. Later on, Gunjan, don't log off. We'll ask you also a few questions.
So, Nupur, do you want to take it on from me now? And if there are any questions by the audience that you would like to?
I think I'll begin with, I'll ask a few things to Gunjan. I'm very curious to know a few things from her. And then in the end, we'll open the floor for the audience to ask questions. Gunjan, did you always want to become a pilot? And how did you dream of this? And how did you work towards getting this?
Yes, I think from my very, very early days, I mean, the earliest memories that I have is that the open blue skies is something that really always fascinated me, and just the idea of being in the open blue skies was something that always was there in my mind, and it was something that I always found very fascinating. And I think I was just about 6, 7 years old is when I the first time that I got into a civil airliner, got to travel in that. And I was very fortunate that I could get into the cockpit. Those days, the situation was slightly different, so they could at times allow the passengers to just take a peep into the cockpit. And I was very fortunate that I got to do that. And I think that is the first memory that I have in my mind, and it is still so clear with me. Just those, open blue skies in front of me. So I think that is what had that major impact on me, and that is where I think my dream of being a pilot started. And
You
after that, I think I was very focused on it throughout, and worked towards it through my childhood. And after that, I think Air Force was an option which just came very well timed with me as I was finishing my graduation.
all right? You've actually flown during the Kargil
Yes.
uh, time. Can you let us know how was your experience during that time?
Your audio just went off. Can you repeat the last part of your question?
I said, could you just talk about Kargil when you were flying? I think the audience would really like to know that.
Kargil, I think it was, as I said, for personally, I mean, I had flown in that terrain before, in that area before, because I was posted at Udhampur and Srinagar and the area around, that is Kargil and that valley that came under our area of operation. So I had done a couple of sorties in that terrain and that area. So that wasn't something new to me. But yes, when I went there during the Kargil operations, the terrain was same, but the situation was so different. So it was, a new thing for me. I was very, very young in service at that time, just had about 3 years of some service with me. So not that I had seen anything of, anything of that sort earlier. So it was a big learning value for me. I think every day there that I was there during the Kargil operations, I got to learn something new, because what really came, as a big learning for me there was that in actual operations, things happen very differently from what you see in peacetime. And also what, really came forward for me was that how what we were taught in training sometimes, when we were put under situations of stress, or when we had to meet too many deadlines at the same time. So that kind of pressure, to work under pressure, we were taught during our training, and how that helped me when I had to operate during the Kargil operation. So I think it was a big, big learning value for me. And it just helped me grow as a professional and as an individual.
Gunjan, how did the troops react to the women pilots and officers? Did they treat you any different from the men officers there?
Uh, the troops, for them, it was a big change. I mean, not only for the troops, for everybody at that time, because I was from the initial few batches. And when I got posted to Udhampur, I was, me and one of my postmates, Srividya, we were the first women pilots to be posted to that operational unit. So for everybody out there, it was a very, very big change. So they had their set of apprehensions, because it was something very new, very different. And we are talking about time, 20 years back, 20 years plus back. So that time, the society and the environment around wasn't, how do I say, wasn't very ready, or it wasn't a very familiar thing for them to see. So yes, it took some time for them to adjust to having us around, and for us also to understand that how different it is to work when you are in the defense and in the defense setup. But I think what was really positive out of this journey of mine is that what I got to learn is that if you have the potential, you have the skill, and that potential and skill, it comes through good training, equal training that we get in the Air Force. And after that, if you are able to do your job well, the opportunities are there for you. it is there. It is just, you know, how you look at it. It's your perspective which helps you, your positive outlook which helps you, because the opportunities are there for you. The organization as such, the Air Force, I would say, was ready to give us that, you know, opportunities to prove our potential. And that really came in as a very positive thing, I would say.
You actually carved a way for the younger generation to come, Gunjan. Really, kudos to you for that. Do you think that with time things have changed for women pilots in Air Force from your days to now?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. They have changed. They've changed tremendously and very, very positively. With, I mean, in terms of both the infrastructure and the mindset of the people, and the organization as a whole, I think has grown very positively and in a very accepting manner for women officers, and especially I would say in the flying branch, because had it not been like that, I think we don't need anybody to say it. It's out there for us to see that today Air Force has so many women pilots, and they have opened the fighter stream as well for the women officers. So it was, I would say, a very mutual, understanding. The women officers did well, the women pilots did well, the organization did equally for accepting them, to give them those opportunities, give them that kind of, exceptional training, I would say, what we get, what is given to the Air Force pilots. So all that just came together, and today we are in a much better situation, I would say. And what I also want to say is that this process is still not over. We are still going on with it in the Air Force, and I'm sure we will keep moving forward in the right direction.
That's exactly what Women in Aviation is also working towards, Gunjan. We are trying to make it accessible to the new younger generations as well. Can you recount some unique experience during your entire tenure, something that you can share with the audience?
I was a little short in height as compared to my other, even the women who were there with me, my peer group. So a lot of times people used to have this doubt in mind, because somehow, there's an impression that your physical strength, somebody who's really strong and tall and well built is somebody, you associate with a task like flying an aircraft and getting airborne. So a lot of times people used to say, "Itni choti si ladki hai, how would she fly an aircraft?" So I think that was something I used to feel ki you don't need that kind of physical strength to fly an aircraft. What you need more is skill. So I think that was something very interesting, and I just loved that look on people's face when they saw कि एक छोटी सी लड़की एयरक्राफ्ट में से बाहर आ रही है हवाई जहाज उड़ा के. So that was something really interesting.
But they didn't know, actually. I think good things come in small packages. You proved that saying. Yeah. Would you also like to ask some questions to Majithia? He's still there with us right now.
Yes,
He's a veteran. He's a senior.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything that you would like to ask him? Sir, Gunjan is very eager to ask you a couple of questions.
Certainly, if I could answer.
His connection is a little poor, but we can still make out what he talks. Yeah.
Can I say my question?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Sir, a very good evening, and I think it's an absolute honor for me and a lifetime opportunity that I'm getting to speak to a legend like you. And my question might seem a little paradoxical, because we are talking about a different era, but I'm really curious to know that during your times, did this idea of having women flying in the Air Force, was it there in any way, whether at the organizational level or in the crew room talks? I would just like to know that.
Time no
It is a very poor connection today.
Ruben, can you take the answer on phone and then replay it?
Okay. I'll just call him and talk to him, take this through.
Yeah. Gunjan, another question that we're all very curious to know. You're a pilot. You've had an exemplary track record. You went for a war like Kargil. How were you managing? What is your mantra for work-life balance? Your family time, your work. What do you do to keep yourself calm and focused?
I think my mantra for life has been life in general has been one is there is no shortcut to hard work. For, other than to short work, it's just pure hard work and determination and focus that gets you anywhere, irrespective of the profession that you are in. And I think managing work and life balance, how I would say, is that when you are working, your focus should be 100% on your work, and when you are out of your profession, you should be 100% looking. Concentrating on your life. So one thing at a time, and when you are in one situation, your 100% is just there. That's how I think I would like to put it.
Thank you. Any message that you will want to give to the younger lot, especially the girls that have logged in today? Any message?
Yes, my message to them is that I'm really not somebody who can give a mantra or somebody, I think, not so qualified. But yes, what I do want to tell them is that don't go into any profession. At least that's what worked for me. Don't go into a profession just trying to prove something to somebody else. It needs to be your own passion, your own dream, and pursue that, because and it should be absolutely irrespective of what their profession is. There's no profession which is good or bad, big or small. It's just a profession. And if you are able to do your job well, you will shine irrespective of where you are. And at the same time, a very small piece of advice is that again, as I said, wherever you are, whichever profession, please don't ask for any concessions based on your gender, because
Absolutely.
because see, like I've been in the defense. So if I'm wearing the same uniform, putting on the same rank, and everything is there same, then there is absolutely no question that at any given time I would get my gender and say that this is something that I can't do, or I should be given a concession. So you just have,
Absolutely.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that today. And I'm so glad that we have you as one of our mentors for women in aviation. I hope with time we get out of this pandemic and we go back to the new normal life,
Yes.
and we are able to meet the young girls. I'm able to go back to my office and to the airports that I visit and encourage the younger girls. And the next time I would like that you also come with me and talk to them as well. Rupam, is sir able to answer the question that Gunjan had asked? Rupam, are you there? I think they're still trying to figure out a way. I think Mrs. Bhatia. Yeah, Rupam, I was just waiting for you.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me, Nupur?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
I'm sorry, this seems to be.
Were you able to hear Gunjan before me, or is it just my connection? Rupam, you're on mute now.
आपके वो हो गए 8 के 8 हो गए आपके
Hi, Nupur. Something's wrong. I can't hear you. Huh.
Okay, on behalf of Women in Aviation International India chapter, I would like to thank Mr. Majithia for taking out the time. So we are delighted that you could speak to the younger generation today. Your words of wisdom mean a lot to us, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again once COVID is over, maybe in person with you. Thank you, Gunjan, for being with us today. The Wi-Fi and the internet, the technology has been really poor today, and I hope that we don't have to use these platforms for a longer time, and we go back to the new normal and meet in person and do these events. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you once again, everybody. Rupan, Mr. Majithia, Sir Majithia, our salutes to you.
Thank you. Good evening.